Trouble struck my farm like a storm on a sunny day. My prize goose, General Honk, went crazy, charging at the sky like a feathered warrior. I dropped my feed bucket, grains spilling in the dirt, and followed his wild gaze. There, cutting through the morning quiet, was a drone, its blades buzzing like angry wasps. It flew low, too low, its camera shining with bad intent. This wasn't a kid's toy, it was a declaration of war. And I knew who sent it. Nancy Carter, my neighbor from the Willow Ridge HOA, the self-proclaimed ruler of our rural corner. The morning had started perfectly. The sun bathed my fields in gold, roosters crowed from the barn roof, and the air smelled of fresh hay. My geese, led by General Honk, waddled out of their coop, stretching wings and pecking the ground like royalty. It was the kind of day that made every sore muscle worth it. I was feeding the goats when the peace broke. A weird buzz filled the air and shadows darted on the grass. Squinting, I saw a black drone weaving over my land like a thief scoping a target. My stomach twisted. Someone was looking for trouble. I wiped my hands on my jeans and looked toward the horizon. There she was, past the far fence, Nancy, arms crossed, sunglasses on, smirking like she'd already won. Nancy, who'd made it her mission to hassle anyone who didn't follow her rules. We'd argued before over silly things like too many pumpkins on my porch or a scarecrow she said scared kids. But spying on my farm with a drone? This was a new low, even for her. I grabbed binoculars from the barn and zoomed in. She held a drone controller, her eyes gleaming with excitement. I marched across the field, General Honk stomping angrily beside me. By the time I reached the fence, her drone buzzed right above my head, its camera aimed at me like a gun. I leaned on a post, tipped my hat back, and forced a smile. "Morning, Nancy," I said, extra polite. Her smirk tightened. "Just checking compliance, Sam," she replied, her voice sweet but mean. "Willow Ridge regulations, you know." I pointed at the drone. "That's trespassing. Bring it down." She laughed, a sharp sound that grated my nerves. "Airspace is public, Sam. I fly where I want." Anger burned in my chest, but I stayed calm. She wanted me to lose it. I wouldn't let her win. "Fair enough," I said, matching her smile. "But don't cry when it backfires." Her eyebrow raised. "A threat?" "Just a warning," I said, turning toward the barn, my mind racing. I couldn't touch the drone without legal trouble, but I didn't need to. I had an army, my geese, led by General Honk, so fierce they'd chased off coyotes, dogs, even a bold delivery guy. If Nancy wanted to stir trouble, I'd let her feel the bite. In the barn, I gathered the geese. General Honk stood tall, chest puffed, eyes fierce. I tossed corn to fire them up, their honks loud like battle cries. That night, I stayed up planning. Nancy wouldn't stop at one flyover, she'd keep coming until she found something to call a violation. I had to be ready. I planted shiny flags in the far field to draw her drone closer, set up motion sensors disguised as farm tools, and gave the geese extra food to keep them strong. When I went to bed, I grinned. Tomorrow, the fight would start. As I fell asleep, the soft honks of my geese outside calmed me, dreaming of victory. Nancy was probably cleaning her drone, thinking she'd won. She had no idea what was coming. The next morning, the sun rose bright, like it knew a battle was near. I pulled on my boots, grabbed a feed bucket, and stepped into the cool air. General Honk was ready, feathers fluffed huge. The other geese gathered like soldiers waiting for orders. I scattered feed, watching them attack it with the energy I'd need. Geese are naturally protective, but I sharpened their skills, tossing bright frisbees across the yard to mimic drones. They chased them, biting and flapping, General Honk leading with loud honks. By noon, they were tired but prepared. I set the trap, shiny flags sparkling in the breeze, fake structures like odd barrels and a spooky windmill to catch Nancy's eye, and motion sensors to warn me. Hours passed. I worked the fields, one eye on the sky, half thinking Nancy gave up. Then, as the sun dipped, the buzz came back. My heart raced. The geese looked up. I scattered corn to place them behind the decoys, General Honk in front, eyes shining. The drone zoomed in, circling high, then diving toward the flags. It hovered low, camera spinning. Perfect. I hid behind a hay bale, binoculars ready, and whistled sharply. The geese exploded like a feathered storm, honking and charging. General Honk jumped, hitting the drone with a wing, sending it spinning. The flock attacked, pecking rotors, snapping blades. The drone sputtered, swerved, and crashed in dust and feathers. General Honk strutted around the wreck, pecking it like a defeated enemy. From Nancy's property, a furious scream echoed. I grinned, calling the geese back with corn, praising their bravery. They'd won this round, but I knew Nancy. This was just the beginning. The next morning, loud banging woke me. I shuffled to the door, coffee in hand, and found Nancy, red-faced, holding a broken drone piece like a prize. "You owe me $1,200, she yelled. I leaned on the doorframe, sipping coffee. "Nancy, you flew that over my land. My geese just protected their home." She opened her mouth, but I cut her off. "I've got you on camera, controller in hand." Her eyes widened, then narrowed. She huffed, stormed off, muttering about lawyers. General Honk waddled up, glaring at her. I smirked, but I stayed careful. Nancy didn't give up. By noon, trouble grew. A car pulled into my driveway, not Nancy, but a man in a cheap suit with a clipboard, saying he was from HOA compliance. Nancy had filed a complaint, accusing me of keeping dangerous animals and breaking aerial inspection rules. I held back a laugh. Dangerous animals? I explained my geese were normal livestock and any drone over my land was trespassing. I offered to show footage of Nancy's stunt. He mumbled, uneasy, and left without a fine. But the next day a letter arrived, an official HOA notice demanding I attended disciplinary hearing, threatening fines and legal action if I didn't. I sat on the porch, General Honk beside me, staring at the letter. Nancy was using the HOA as a weapon. I needed a plan. I spent days talking to neighbors, most with their own Nancy horror stories, fines for garden hoses, complaints about early Christmas lights. I collected signed statements, photos, and a file of her tricks. Meanwhile, Nancy spread lies. My geese attacked kids, carried diseases, were trained killers. Some neighbors believed her, giving me nervous looks. The tension grew thick. At the hearing, the Willow Ridge HOA clubhouse was packed, neighbors, board members, even reporters sensing drama. Nancy sat up front, wearing a neck brace and dark glasses, acting like a victim. I nearly laughed. She gave a dramatic speech, holding drone parts, calling my geese a public danger. When she finished, I stood, calm and clear. I showed footage of her flying the drone, motion sensor logs, and neighbor testimonies. A reporter asked if she had permission to fly over my land. Flustered, she admitted, no, but it was for community standards. The room buzzed. The board fined her, banned her drone flights, and cleared me. I walked out, General Honk waiting in the truck. Victory felt good, but I knew it wasn't over. Peace lasted a short time. One Saturday, black SUVs roared in Pine County Animal Control, citing anonymous complaints about dangerous wildlife. I demanded a warrant. They showed a weak HOA notice, no legal power. General Honk and his flock honked, scaring the officers. I stood firm and they left, promising to return. I called my lawyer friend, Claire, who confirmed Nancy's overreach. We filed a harassment complaint. I put up no trespassing signs, added cameras, and posted warning, aggressive geese signs for fun. Nancy spread new rumors, illegal breeding, exotic animals. I fought back with a farm day event, inviting neighbors to see the truth. Families laughed, fed chickens, and loved General Honk's antics. Nancy watched from her porch, her lies falling apart. Support grew. Neighbors apologized, businesses offered help, and the county dismissed future complaints without proof. Then Nancy made her last move, a sign on her lawn, "Homeowners for drone safety," pushing to allow drone spying. It was desperate and dangerous if it worked. With Claire, I built a case, every complaint, rumor, and scheme Nancy had tried. At the final HOA hearing, storm clouds matched the tension. The clubhouse was full. Nancy, in a sharp blazer, called herself a safety hero, showing blurry goose photos with red circles around beaks. The crowd wasn't buying it. I presented the truth, footage, logs, statements, and a recording of Nancy bragging about ruining me. Her face went pale. She stuttered, caught. The board found her guilty of harassment, fined her heavily, removed her from the HOA, and issued a restraining order. She ran out, reporters chasing her. Neighbors thanked me. The sheriff joked about a medal for General Honk. That night, we celebrated with music, food, and kids playing. General Honk wore a blue ribbon. Nancy's house went up for sale. Weeks later, she was gone. Life felt sweeter. One day, a mystery package arrived, a new drone labeled for training. I laughed, then sent it buzzing over the fields. General Honk led a joyful attack, neighbors cheering. It became Goose Rodeo, a weekly show. The news called General Honk a local hero. On the porch one evening, iced tea in hand, I scratched General Honk's neck, the Willow Ridge fields glowing under the sunset. We'd fought for this simple, honest, free life. Nancy's bullying only made us stronger, proving strength comes from loyalty, community, and standing tall. Whatever came next, we'd face it with grit, humor, and a flock of fearless geese.